The stars above the colony world of Elira Prime always looked calm. From the surface, they glittered like peaceful diamonds scattered across the endless black. Families lived in domes along the fertile valleys, farmers tilled red soil, and children ran through artificial parks built inside protective shields. For many, this world was home. A dream fulfilled after humanity spread beyond Earth. But peace in the galaxy was fragile. Humanity had expanded quickly, reaching systems that once belonged to other powers. Most alien civilizations had accepted humans as neighbors, sometimes even allies. But not the Vare Dominion. The Vare Dominion was old, proud, and ruthless. Their empire stretched across hundreds of star systems, ruled with fear and power. To them, humanity was a young race that grew too fast and claimed too much. For years, they watched humans build colonies on the edge of their territory. Now they decided to strike. On a quiet evening, Elira Prime's skies suddenly burned. Without warning, a fleet of Dominion warships emerged from hyperspace. Their ships were sharp, black, and jagged, shaped like claws tearing at the void. Energy. Beams tore through the colony's orbital defenses before they could even raise full shields. Inside the colony control tower, Governor Marcus Hale shouted for reports. "All stations respond. Shields at maximum. Get the civilians underground now." The alarms howled across every settlement. Mothers grabbed children, workers abandoned farms, and everyone ran toward emergency shelters. The ground shook as orbital bombardments rained fire on the outskirts. Whole districts disappeared in flashes of light. In orbit, the few human defense frigates fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10-1. Commander Hale's brother, Captain Adrian Hale, led the defense fleet. His voice came through the comms, strained but determined. "Marcus, we can't hold them. Evacuate as many as you can. Tell Earth. Tell them the Dominion has come." The line cut off in static as a Vare battleship ripped his ship apart. Down on the surface, Marcus clenched his fists but forced himself to stay calm. Panic spread like wildfire, and he knew his people needed a leader. "Get to the transports," he ordered. "We will survive this. Humanity will not fall here." But deep inside, he feared they would not survive at all. Far above, the Vare commander watched the slaughter from his flagship. Overlord Xyrus, a tall alien with metallic skin and glowing crimson eyes, stood proud on the command deck. His voice was cold as he addressed his officers. "These humans thought they could claim worlds so close to our empire. They believed we would remain silent. Today, we show them their mistake." His second-in-command asked, "Overlord, shall we destroy all of them?" Xyrus smiled without warmth. "No. Leave some survivors. Let them run back to Earth. Let them tell their people what happens when the Dominion is challenged." The fleet continued its merciless attack. Towns burned. Farms turned to ash. Human screams echoed through the comms as the Dominion soldiers landed on the surface, their armored troops rounding up survivors. One of those survivors was Elena Marin, a young engineer who worked at Elira's orbital elevator. When the first blast struck, she had rushed her younger brother into a transport shuttle. But the shuttle was destroyed before it could launch. Now she dragged him through smoke-filled streets, desperately seeking shelter. "Keep running," she told him, even as tears blurred her eyes. Her brother looked up at her, his voice trembling. "Elena, why are they doing this? We didn't hurt anyone." She didn't know how to answer. All she could say was, "Because we are human, and because they are afraid of us." When they reached the shelters, they found them already full. Dominion soldiers were closing in, their weapons glowing. Elena stood in front of her brother, shielding him with her body. But before the soldiers could fire, a group of human militia fighters ambushed them from the rooftops. Explosions lit the street as the fighters bought precious seconds for the civilians to escape. Elena and her brother slipped into a hidden tunnel and fled toward the mountains. Behind them, the colony they loved was collapsing into ruins. Meanwhile, Marcus Hale finally managed to send out a fragmented distress signal. His technicians warned him that the Dominion was jamming communications, but he refused to give up. "Boost the signal with the old array," he commanded, "even if it costs us the generator. Someone out there must hear us. The final message burst into space, a simple but desperate call. This is Governor Marcus Hale of Elira Prime. We are under attack by the Ver Dominion. Our defenses are broken. Civilians dying. If anyone receives this, send help. Humanity must know. Then the control tower exploded, cutting off his voice forever. The Ver Dominion fleet left hours later, leaving smoking ruins behind. They had taken prisoners, destroyed defenses, and burned entire cities to dust. But as their ships disappeared into hyperspace, they did not realize what they had truly awakened. In hidden bases across the Sol system, encrypted signals began to flash. The distress call had been received, not by Earth's politicians, but by the Dragon Corps. The Dragon Corps were not ordinary soldiers. They were humanity's secret weapon, a group of enhanced warriors trained to embody both the strength and the myth of dragons. Their ships were shaped like scaled beasts, their weapons breathed fire across space, and their very presence struck fear into enemies. For decades, they had remained silent, waiting. Many believed they were only legends told to frighten alien rivals. But now the dragons stirred. Inside the fortress near Jupiter, Commander Saren Kale stood before his warriors. His eyes glowed faintly from the genetic fire within him, his armor etched with the image of wings. He listened to the faint, broken voice of Marcus Hale. Governor Hale is gone, one officer reported. But his message was clear. The Dominion has struck our colonies. Kale's voice was quiet, but filled with steel. Then they will learn what it means to awaken dragons. Across the fortress, the Dragon Corps prepared for war. While the Dominion celebrated their easy victory, rumors began to spread. Survivors whispered to one another in refugee transports, "They will come. The dragons will come." Even among Dominion soldiers, unease grew. They had heard old tales of human dragon warriors, stories dismissed as superstition. But as the message echoed through space, fear began to grow. You struck human colonies, the dragons are coming for you. The fortress near Jupiter was hidden deep in the storms of the gas giant. Few outside Earth's military command even knew of its existence. To the rest of humanity, it was only a myth, a base where soldiers became legends. But to those who lived inside, it was home. It was the lair of the Dragon Corps. When the distress signal from Elira Prime reached them, silence fell over the command hall. Dozens of warriors stood in formation, their armor gleaming with faint traces of red and gold, as if the metal itself remembered fire. Commander Saren Kale stood at the front. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and calm, his eyes carrying the weight of countless battles. Unlike ordinary soldiers, his body had been enhanced by a special genetic process. His muscles carried strength far beyond human limits, and his senses were sharp as a hawk's. But it was not only his body that made him a dragon, it was his spirit. Kale replayed the final words of Governor Marcus Hale. The static-filled voice echoed through the chamber. Our defenses are broken, civilians dying, we send help, humanity must know. Then silence. No one moved for a long time. The air was heavy. Finally, Kale spoke. The Dominion thinks they have silenced Elira. They think they have broken us. His voice was low but powerful. But they have only awakened us. They have awakened dragons. The hall erupted in a deep roar of approval. The soldiers slammed their fists against their armor, the sound like thunder rolling through the fortress. In the hangar bays, the Dragon Corps prepared their ships. These were not ordinary vessels. Each ship was shaped to resemble the body of a dragon, with sweeping wings of plasma-coated alloy and armored hulls that shimmered like scales. Their weapons were not simple cannons. They were plasma breathers, able to release streams of fire across space. When they moved together, fleets of dragons looked alive, as if ancient beasts had returned to the stars. Engineer teams hurried between ships, checking systems, fueling reactors, and linking pilots to their crafts. A bond existed between each soldier and their ship, forged through years of training and neural connection. A dragon ship was not just a machine, it was a partner, almost an extension of its pilot's soul. One young pilot, Aria Velan, stood before her ship, her hand resting on the cool metal as lights glowed beneath her touch. She whispered softly, "They think we are myths. Let us show them the truth." Nearby, her mentor, General Rin Varos, smiled faintly. He was older, with gray streaks in his hair and scars across his armor. "The Dominion has no idea what they started," he said. "They struck children and farmers. Now they will face dragons." While preparations continued, Earth's leaders gathered in secret council. Through secure transmissions, politicians debated fiercely. "We cannot launch the Dragon Cores openly," one argued. "It will provoke full-scale war with the Dominion." "They already started a war," another answered sharply. "Our colonies are burning. Our people are dead. Do you expect us to hide while the Dominion marches on?" But the strongest voice came from the chair of the Defense Council, Admiral Talia Crow. Her gaze was firm as she spoke. "For decades, we kept the Dragon Core in shadow. We wanted peace. We wanted to avoid fear. But now, peace is gone. If we do nothing, the Dominion will crush us one colony at a time. The time for hiding is over. Let the galaxy see that humans are not prey. Let them see our dragons." The vote was swift. The Council gave full command to the Dragon Corps. Humanity's most dangerous guardians were free to fly. Commander Kale met with his lieutenants in the strategy chamber. A star map hovered above the table, glowing with red points where Dominion fleets had been sighted. "They hit Elira Prime," Kale said. "But they won't stop there. Other colonies lie in their path: Arden's Reach, Vaynor Outpost, and the Kira settlements. We cannot wait for them to strike again. We must strike first." Lieutenant Aria Velan leaned forward. "Sir, with respect, we are outnumbered. Their fleets are massive." Kale's expression was steady. "Yes, but numbers will not win this war. Fear will. We are not an army. We are a storm. We will hit. Then where they do not expect, tear their fleets apart and vanish. Let every battle spread the same message: humanity has dragons." The others nodded. It was dangerous, but it was their way. Before launch, the warriors gathered in the Hall of Flame. A great fire burned in the center, a symbol of their oath. Each dragon soldier placed a hand upon the flame, not harmed, for their bodies resisted the heat, and spoke the ancient vow: "Humanity is our heart. Fire is our strength. Against those who strike us, we rise as dragons." The words filled the hall like thunder, echoing in every soul. Even the youngest recruits felt their courage, hardened like steel. Kyle raised his sword, its edge glowing in the firelight. "Today we fly. Not for conquest, not for power. We fly for Elira, and for every colony that calls humanity home. The Dominion struck at our people. Now we answer." The launch was a sight of awe. The great hangar doors of the fortress opened, revealing the swirling storms of Jupiter. One by one, the dragon ships roared to life. Their wings glowed with plasma, and their hulls shimmered as if alive. With a surge, they leapt into space, hundreds of blazing forms rising together. From Earth to Mars, from the moons of Saturn to the mines of Neptune, hidden cameras and listening stations caught the image. The transmissions spread, and people across the colonies gasped as they saw the truth. The dragons were real. Children pointed at the screens in awe. Refugees wept with hope. Even alien traders watching from neutral stations felt a shiver of fear. The message was clear: the Dragon Corps has awakened. As they entered hyperspace, silence filled the cockpits. Each pilot felt the bond with their dragon ship, the hum of power flowing through their nerves. Arya closed her eyes, sensing the fire deep in her craft's core. "We will make them pay," she whispered. General Varos in the lead formation gave the order. First target, the Dominion fleet stationed near Arden's Reach. They expect easy prey. Instead, they will meet dragons. Commander Kale's voice came over the comms, steady and calm. "Remember who you are. You are the shield of humanity. You are the fire that will not die. Strike fast, strike hard, and let the galaxy remember: humans are not prey." The fleet surged forward, wings of fire vanishing into the warp. Far away in Dominion space, Overlord Xyrus received the first reports. Scouts had detected strange shapes leaving the human system. Ships shaped like beasts. Ships that breathed fire. The Dominion officers laughed at the stories, dismissing them as fear-born lies. But Xyrus did not laugh. His crimson eyes narrowed. So, the myths are true, he muttered. The humans send their dragons. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. But his pride crushed it quickly. He raised his clawed hand and declared, "Then we will burn their dragons from the stars. No beast can stand against the Dominion." Yet deep inside, he wondered. As the dragon cores raced through hyperspace, the stars stretched like rivers of light around them. Every heart burned with the same fire: vengeance, justice, and hope. They were not just soldiers. They were the symbol of humanity's unbreakable spirit. And now, they were awake. The Dominion fleet hung in orbit above Arden's Reach, one of humanity's smaller colonies. Arden was a mining world, its surface scarred by craters and tunnels where families dug for rare minerals. The people there were strong, but poorly defended. Their colony ships were small, their defense platforms few. The Dominion fleet, nearly 30 warships strong, loomed above the planet like dark predators circling their prey. The flagship, a massive blade-shaped vessel, glowed with crimson light as Overlord Xyrus's orders spread through the comms. Crush their defenses, take prisoners, burn the rest. The Vaer soldiers obeyed without hesitation. Already beams of energy struck the surface, destroying power stations and mining outposts. The skies of Arden burned, but unknown to the Dominion, another fleet was entering the system. The Dragon Corps had arrived. Commander Saren Kale sat within his ship, Dragon Soul. His eyes were closed, his mind linked with the living machine around him. He could feel its power pulsing like a second heartbeat. Through the neural bond, his ship was not just metal and circuits. It was alive, sharing his thoughts and instincts. Status? Kale asked quietly. Lieutenant Arya Valen responded from her wing position. All dragon wings in formation, Commander. Plasma breathers at full charge. Shields at 100%. General Rin Varos added, his deep voice calm. The Dominion has not detected us yet. Their sensors believe us to be debris at the edge of the system. The moment we strike, they will know. Kyle opened his eyes. A cold fire burned within them. Good. Let them know. Let them fear. The dragon ships moved together in silence, hidden by advanced cloaking fields that shimmered against the starlight. They glided closer, wings folded like hunting beasts waiting to strike. Inside her cockpit, Arya gripped her controls. Her ship responded with a low growl through the bond, eager for battle. She whispered, "Easy. Soon." When the Dominion fleet prepared to launch ground troops, Kyle gave the order. Dragons, ignite. The cloaking fields dropped. Suddenly, the blackness of space blazed with fire. Dozens of dragon ships spread their wings, glowing with plasma light. To the Dominion fleet, it looked as though living beasts had erupted from the void, their scales shining, their eyes burning, their wings trailing fire. The Dominion soldiers gasped in terror. "What are those?" cried one officer aboard the flagship. Another stammered. They look like dragons." And then the dragon struck. Kyle's ship breathed a torrent of plasma, ripping through the nearest Dominion cruiser. The firestorm tore across its hull, breaking it apart in seconds. Arya's dragon wing swooped in, unleashing streaks of molten light that shattered a second ship. The battle became chaos. Dominion commanders barked orders, but fear spread through their ranks. Human dragon ships moved with impossible speed, diving and twisting like predators. Plasma fire cut across enemy lines, shredding shields and tearing hulls. Arya felt her heart race as her dragon dodged enemy beams. Her ship roared in her mind, filled with shared fury. She fired again, wings glowing, destroying another vessel. "Yes," she shouted, "for Elira." General Varos led his squadron directly into the center of the enemy formation. Dominion. Ships tried to encircle him, but his dragon burst outward with a shockwave of fire, tearing through 3 frigates at once. His laughter boomed through the comms. Do you see, Dominion? This is the wrath of humanity. On the surface of Arden's Reach, miners and families had gathered in bunkers, praying for survival. When the sky lit up, they expected more destruction. But when they saw dragons flying through space, breathing fire against the Dominion fleet, hope surged in their hearts. Children cried out in wonder. Dragons, real dragons! One old miner, tears streaming down his face, whispered. They came for us. The stories were true. The people of Arden watched as the battle above turned in humanity's favor. For the first time since the war began, they felt safe. On the Dominion flagship, Overlord Xyrus's eyes blazed with fury. Impossible, he snarled. Humans cannot field such weapons. This is trickery. An officer trembled. Overlord, they are tearing us apart. Our fleet is breaking. Xyrus slammed his clawed hand against the control panel. Then make them bleed. These beasts are nothing but machines. Destroy them. But even as he spoke, another shockwave rattled his flagship. Through the viewports, he saw 2 more Dominion cruisers explode in fire, their wreckage scattering like ash. His soldiers no longer looked confident. Fear had taken root. The battle raged on. Dominion ships tried to form defensive lines, but the dragons moved like living storms, darting through gaps and striking with deadly precision. Kyle's voice guided them calmly over the comms. Strike, vanish, strike again, keep them broken. Do not let them recover. Arya weaved through fire, her dragon rolling and twisting. She targeted the engines of a battleship, cutting them apart with blazing plasma. The massive vessel drifted helplessly, colliding with one of its allies. Both ships were destroyed. Her brother's face flashed in her memory, the boy she had protected on Elira Prime, still alive somewhere among the refugees. Her grip tightened. This is for you, she whispered. The Dominion began to retreat. Their commanders shouted for order, but panic had taken hold. One by one, their ships jumped into hyperspace, fleeing the battle. Within minutes, the mighty fleet of 30 ships had been reduced to wreckage and fire. Only a handful managed to escape. The dragons circled together, wings glowing against the darkness. Their victory roar echoed through comms, a sound like thunder mixed with fire. On Arden's Reach, the people cheered, their voices rising from bunkers and shelters. They had been saved. Commander Kale opened the comms to the colony below. His voice was steady but filled with strength. People of Arden's Reach, you are not alone. Humanity is not broken. The Dominion struck our colonies, but we are still here, and we will fight. We are the Dragon Corps. Wherever they strike, we will answer. The cheers grew louder, echoing across the entire planet. Far away in Dominion territory, rumors spread faster than light. Survivors from the fleet whispered to their commanders. Dragons. They were dragons. Some called them machines. Others swore they were alive. But all agreed on one thing. The humans had unleashed something terrifying. Across neutral systems, alien traders carried the tales. In smoky bars and crowded stations, voices murmured in awe and fear. You struck human. Colonies? The dragons came for them. Back aboard the fortress near Jupiter, reports poured in from across human space. Colonists cheered the victory. Refugees wept with relief. The legend of the Dragon Corps was no longer a secret. Arya stood beside her. Commander, looking out at the stars. We showed them today, she said softly. Kale nodded, though his gaze remained firm and serious. Yes. But this is only the beginning. The Dominion will not forgive this defeat. They will return stronger, with everything they have. General Varos grinned fiercely. Let them. We are ready. Kyle's hand tightened on the hilt of his sword. His eyes burned like fire as he whispered, They thought we were prey. Now they know. We are dragons. And the stars seemed to tremble, as if the galaxy itself listened. The defeat at Arden's Reach spread through the galaxy like wildfire. News traveled faster than fleets. Traders, smugglers, and refugees carried the same story to every corner of known space. The humans unleashed dragons. Some believed it. Some laughed and said it was just a trick of advanced ships. But even the skeptics noticed the same truth. The Dominion had lost, and lost badly. Inside the halls of Dominion power, anger boiled. Overlord Xerus stood before the Council of Dominion warlords. His crimson eyes burned as he replayed fragments of the battle. The images of glowing dragon ships tearing through his fleet made the chamber silent. One warlord growled, "You said humans were weak. You said their colonies were nothing. Yet your fleet was destroyed." Xerus bared his teeth. "They used something hidden, something ancient. But it does not matter. We will crush them. We will gather the full strength of the Dominion and burn these dragons from the stars." The warlords argued, but fear edged their voices. Dragons had entered the galaxy, and fear was hard to silence. While the Dominion gathered their strength, the Dragon Corps prepared as well. On the fortress near Jupiter, warriors trained harder than ever. In the great combat halls, they practiced with plasma blades, their movements sharp and fast. In the hangars, engineers upgraded dragon ships with stronger armor and deeper firepower. Lieutenant Arya Valan stood in her cockpit running systems checks. Her dragon ship responded with a low hum, alive and eager. She smiled faintly. "We survived our first clash. Now they will come for us with everything." General Rin Veros, scarred and experienced, walked past her ship. "And that is what we want. The bigger they come, the harder they fall." Commander Saren Kale observed quietly from the upper platform. His gaze was steady as always, but inside, he felt the weight of responsibility. He knew the Dominion's pride would not allow them to retreat forever. They would bring their full fleets, perhaps even their war beasts, creatures bred for war. The galaxy was watching. Humanity's survival rested on what happened next. It did not take long. Scouts reported massive movements of Dominion forces. Dozens of fleets converged, gathering into the largest armada seen in years. Warships, carriers, and destroyers, hundreds strong. At the center, colossal vessels the size of cities, and with them, strange organic shapes. The Dominion had unleashed their war beasts. These were not ships, but living monsters grown in secret laboratories, creatures with wings of steel and bodies of flesh, capable of fighting in space. They were the Dominion's answer to the human dragons. When the reports arrived, silence fell in the strategy chamber of the Dragon Corps. "War beasts," General Veros muttered. "So they dare match our fire with monsters of their own." Arya frowned. "Can we defeat them? If they are alive, they will not fight like machines." Kyle spoke calmly. "Every beast can bleed. Every monster can fall. We will meet them head on." The Dominion Armada arrived in the Kira system, targeting another human colony. The planet Kira was a lush world of forests and oceans, home to millions. Families lived in tall crystal cities near the seas, unaware that danger loomed. When the Dominion ships appeared, terror swept across Kira. Civilians rushed for shelters, defense fleets scrambled, but everyone knew they could not stand against such a force. Then from the edge of the system, the Dragon Corps arrived. Hundreds of glowing dragon ships surged out of hyperspace, wings burning with plasma fire. Behind them, human defense fleets joined, smaller but ready. For the first time, the Dragon Corps did not fight alone. Humanity's colonies had rallied. The largest battle of the war was about to begin. "Dragons, form wings," Kale ordered, calmly over the comms. "The Dominion brings numbers. We bring fire. Remember Elira. Remember Arden. Fight for every colony. For humanity." The voices of his warriors roared in reply. The fleets collided. The battle was chaos made of fire and steel. Dragon ships dove into Dominion lines, plasma breath scorching across shields. War beasts howled, their massive bodies twisting through space, claws tearing at ships, jaws snapping like wolves in the void. Human frigates and cruisers fired in support, targeting weaker Dominion vessels. Arya's ship screamed in her mind as she dodged a war beast's strike. She twisted her dragon through a roll and released a beam of fire straight into the creature's chest. The beast roared in pain, thrashing as fire consumed it. She gasped for air, sweat running down her face. "They bleed," she whispered. "They can die!" Varos charged headlong into a swarm of Dominion fighters. His dragon unleashed a shockwave of plasma, wiping them out in a single blaze. His laughter boomed over the comms. "Come on then, show us your fury." But for every beast that fell, another appeared. For every Dominion ship destroyed, more pressed forward. The Dragon Corps fought with unmatched courage, yet they were outnumbered, and the battle dragged on. On the surface of Kira, the people watched the skies through shields. Children clung to parents. Old miners and farmers stood ready with whatever weapons they had, though they knew they could not face the armada above. Still, hope burned in their eyes. They saw the dragons in the sky, glowing wings battling against the darkness. For the first time, humans across the colonies were united not by fear but by fire. Inside the flagship Drakensoul, Kyle studied the battle map. Red enemy markers pressed hard against their blue lines. His officers warned him, "Commander, if we continue like this, we will be overwhelmed. Their numbers are endless." Kyle's eyes narrowed. He knew this was the moment that would decide not only the battle but the war. "We hold," he said, "no matter the cost. If we fall here, the Dominion will never stop. Humanity will be broken. But if we stand, if we endure, then even against numbers, the galaxy will see. Humans do not break." His words spread through the comms. Across the battlefield, tired pilots and soldiers straightened, their courage renewed. The Dominion pressed harder, but the Dragon Corps refused to fall. Every ship fought like 10, every warrior like a legend. Arya, exhausted but determined, whispered to her dragon, "One more. Just one more." She fired, destroying another beast. Varos, surrounded by enemies, laughed even as his ship took heavy damage. "They cannot stop us. They cannot stop dragons." And Commander Kyle led from the front, his ship burning with plasma fire, striking at the heart of the Dominion fleet. When the battle reached its peak, both sides were bloodied and scarred. The Dominion had not won. The humans had not fallen. The fight was not over, but one truth had been proven. Humanity could face the greatest armada in the galaxy and still stand. On worlds across human space, reports spread of the clash at Kira. Survivors spoke of fire in the skies, of humans standing together, of dragons battling monsters. The legend grew. In Dominion space, fear deepened. If even their full might could not crush humanity, then perhaps these dragons were more than ships. Perhaps they were something greater. As the fleets withdrew to regroup, Kyle's voice carried through his comms. "Today, we faced the Dominions. Fury. They thought to break us. But we still stand. Let them come again. Let them bring every weapon, every beast. They will find us ready. For we are humanity. We are fire. We are dragons." His warriors roared in reply, their voices echoing through the stars, and so the legend burned brighter. The Battle of Kira was not forgotten. Though the Dominion's armada was vast, they had not won. Humanity still stood, battered but unbroken. Across the colonies, the story spread. We faced their full fury, and we survived. For the Dominion, it was a wound to their pride. For humanity, it was proof that they were more than survivors. They were warriors of fire. But Commander Saren Kale knew the war was not over. The Dominion would strike again, and they would strike harder. Unless humanity delivered a final blow, the war would never end. In the strategy chamber of the fortress near Jupiter, Kyle studied the star map. Red markers glowed like wounds across the galaxy, Dominion strongholds, supply chains, breeding facilities for their war beasts. At the very center burned a single symbol, the Dominion capital world, Zirian Prime. General Rin Varos leaned on the table, his scarred face grim. "If we want to finish this, we cannot keep playing defense. They will keep coming, wave after wave, until they grind us down." Lieutenant Arya Valen nodded. "Then we take the fight to them, strike at their heart, Show the galaxy that humanity does not only endure, we rise. Kale's eyes burned like fire. Yes, a message must be sent, not to the Dominion alone, but to every world watching us. We will not only defend, we will ascend. The plan was daring, perhaps impossible. The Dragon Corps, alongside fleets from every human colony, would launch a direct assault on Zarian Prime. The Dominion capital was heavily fortified with countless warships and war beasts guarding it, but Kale knew fear was already seated in their enemies. If humans struck their heart, the Dominion's aura of invincibility would shatter. Admiral Talia Crow, speaking from Earth, gave her blessing. You carry more than weapons into battle. You carry the hope of every colony, every child, every survivor. Whatever happens, the galaxy will never forget this day. Preparations began. Dragon ships were reforged, their wings strengthened, their plasma breathers charged to new levels. Pilots spent sleepless nights in the bonding chambers, deepening their connection with their ships. Human fleets gathered from across the stars, frigates, cruisers, and carriers all painted with the same symbol, the mark of the dragon. On Mars, refugees lit fires across the desert, sending light into the sky as a sign of unity. On Kira, families rebuilt homes, whispering prayers for the dragons who protected them. On Elira Prime, the ruins still smoked, but survivors carved a single message into stone. We are still here. Humanity was ready. The day came. From Jupiter's fortress, the Dragon Corps launched. Hundreds of glowing dragons soared into space, their wings blazing with plasma light. Behind them followed the combined human fleet, thousands strong. Together, they formed the largest armada humanity had ever created. Commander Kyle stood at the front of Drakensoul, his voice carried through the comms, calm yet filled with unshakable strength. Brothers and sisters of fire, today we face the heart of the Dominion. They believe themselves eternal. They believe no one can challenge them. But we are here. We are the answer to their arrogance. We are the fire that will never die. Let them see us. Let them fear us. For today, humanity ascends. The roar of his warriors filled the comms. Then the fleet jumped to hyperspace. They emerged above Zarian Prime. The Dominion capital filled the view. A massive world of black towers and crimson seas, surrounded by rings of defense stations. Above it, the largest fleet in history waited. Warships stretched across the void, and with them, hundreds of war beasts twisted their bodies in the cold dark. Overlord Xyrus stood aboard his flagship watching. His eyes glowed with fury. So, the humans dare come here. Good, let them. We will bury them at our gates. He raised his clawed hand. Destroy them all. The Dominion fleet surged forward. The battle began. Dragon ships clashed with war beasts, plasma fire meeting living claws. Human cruisers exchanged salvos with Dominion warships, the void filled with explosions brighter than stars. The noise of war roared through every comm channel. Arya's dragon weaved through enemy fire, striking down a war beast with a blaze of plasma. She shouted, her voice fierce. For Elira, for every colony. Varos led a charge straight into the enemy's center, laughing even as his ship took hit after hit. Come on, Dominion, is this all you have? But the Dominion was relentless. Their numbers were overwhelming. Human ships were destroyed one after another. Dragons roared in, pain as war beasts tore at their wings. The sky above Zarian burned with fire and death. For a moment, it seemed humanity might break. Inside Drakensoul, Kyle sat in silence, his hands steady on the controls. He could feel the fire of his ship burning deeper than ever. He knew this was the moment. Activate fusion, he ordered quietly. His officers froze. Commander, are you certain? If we fuse with our ships, we may never return. Kyle's voice was calm. Today we are more than men. We are the fire of humanity itself, and fire cannot be caged. Across the battlefield, every dragon ship responded to its pilot's call. The bond between warrior and ship deepened, blazing like a second sun. Then, In a storm of light, the dragons changed. Metal and flesh fused. Armor became scale. Wings unfolded into living fire. Pilots and ships became one. The Dragon Corps had ascended. No longer machines, no longer soldiers. They were true dragons, alive and burning with the spirit of humanity. Their roars shook the void, a sound of fire and thunder that froze Dominion, soldiers in terror. Arya felt her body merge with her dragon, her heart beating as one with the beast. She spread wings of fire, her voice echoing with power. "We are dragons!" Varos became a blazing titan, his laughter now a roar that sent fear through enemy ranks. "Burn, Dominion!" Kale soared above them all, his body now a massive dragon of steel and flame, his eyes burning brighter than suns. His voice thundered across the battlefield. "Humans are not prey. We are the fire. We are the storm. We are dragons." The tide turned. Dragons ripped through Dominion fleets, their fire unstoppable. Warbeasts shrieked in terror as true dragons tore them apart. Human ships rallied, inspired by the sight, pressing forward with renewed strength. Overlord Xyrus watched in horror as his armada crumbled. His pride shattered as he realized the truth. The humans had become something more than he ever imagined. "No," he whispered. "This cannot be." But it was. The Dominion fleet broke. Ships fled in every direction, abandoning their capital. War beasts scattered, their courage gone. The once mighty Dominion armada was reduced to ashes and silence. Kyle and his dragons circled Zarian Prime, their wings blazing across the sky. But he did not order its destruction. Instead, his voice carried to every world, every channel, every ear in the galaxy. "Let the Dominion remember, you struck human colonies. You slaughtered innocents. But we are still here. We are humanity. We are fire. And if you ever raise your hand against us again, the dragons will come for you." His words burned into history. The war ended. The Dominion retreated into its own space, its pride broken, its fleets shattered. Other alien empires, once uncertain of humanity, now looked at them with awe and respect. No longer were humans seen as a young race. They were a people of dragons. Across the colonies, survivors rebuilt. Families planted crops again. Children laughed under safe skies, and refugees returned home. The scars of war remained, but so did hope. On Elira Prime, among the ruins, Elena Marin stood with her younger brother. They looked up at the sky, where fleets of dragon ships flew in formation, guarding the stars. Her brother whispered, "The dragons saved us." Elena smiled softly. "No, the dragons are us." And so, the legend of the Dragon Corps spread forever. Songs were written, stories told. Generations later, children would still whisper in awe, "You struck human colonies? Then the dragons came for you." And in the silent depths of space, dragons watched, their wings blazing, guardians of a humanity that would never bow again.